Hey guys, can y'all hear me okay? I'm going to get started at 6 o'clock on the money. I just wanted to see if you guys could hear me, doing a little testing. Kind of dark in here with that. Let's try the light on. How's that look? Okay, cool. Tom, John, Jack, Lee Hall, Tom Helms, Jackie Bryce, Jeff, Barry. Hey, Jeff Foster. Barry Watson, Scott Head, and Charlie Keel. See some hogs going wild, folks. Roger. Some friends on here. Did y'all say y'all could hear me good? What's up, Professor? Yeah, I'm a legend in my own mind, yeah. Somebody told me yesterday when they asked for my autograph, and they said, you're famous. I said, no, I'm Julie's daddy. Julie won't ever let me, Julie doesn't think I'm famous. She thinks I'm dad. Just like everybody has thinks they're dad, But yeah, I'm dad. But I've raced motorcycles and drag racing and build engines and learned stuff my whole life. So some people think that's famous. But I a lot of times I thought famous came with the words rich, but I guess not so, because old Sam at Competition Trailers built lots of 18-wheeler rigs for me through my racing years. And he used to tell me, he says, George, I'm tired of listening to people talk about getting rich and famous. I'm already famous. I just want to be rich. Anyway, he made me laugh. But God bless his soul. He's gone. Left a great company building some really nice rigs. I still see, if I go to the races, I see really nice Competition Trailers out there. But hey, look, this talk is not about trailers. And it's not about famous or rich. The only thing rich would be the opposite of lean. And we're going to talk a little bit about our limitations in gasoline. And listen, this suits everybody. Even the methanol guys, even nitro guys. Yeah, nitros are different. Let me take that back. This does not include nitro guys. I'm sorry. I don't know enough about nitro to even make a good comment. I know enough about nitro to stay away from it. And when they plug the starter in, I know to get back and get a lot of people between me and the engine. And some people are crazy, and you gotta love some crazy folks, the ones that try to figure out nitro and the ones that try to figure out how to make nitro work. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And Jerry, Jim, Josh, David, man, thank y'all for coming on. I think a lot of people are bored. Maybe bored's not the right word, but we have a little bit, we're going to have some free time. And hey, Jackie Bryce. Hello. And we're gonna have some free time coming up eventually because of what's going on in our world and our society. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how today to maybe not take advantage of it because it's an advantage, but we try to find a silver lining in everything. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. But right now I want to talk about gasoline and octane and our limits. Here's something that's happened in the last 2 years. Last 3 years, maybe some of you guys think it's happened for a really long time, but not in my world. But it's easy to build big engines now. The 1,000 cubic inch V8s, the big bore, the Pro Mod guys got a 5.3 bore space where they can put giant pistons in. The S&S powered Buells and the Harley teams have over 5-inch bore. Pro stock cars are running 4-inch 700 and something bore now because they have a 4.900 bore spacing. And what that means, 4.9 bore spacing, means the center of each cylinder can be that far apart. So that limits how big your pistons can be. But in Harley Davidsons and our V-twins that we race and that we do for you, 99% of our customers, is the bore, not the bore spacing, but the bolt spacing. And that's the studs that hold the heads on. They are placed in the cases and they are connected down in the bottom down in the cases, and the studs hold the heads on. So we can put the big bore pistons and big stroke crankshafts in as long as the studs don't get in the way of the gaskets. So you got to have enough room between the head bolt and the head gasket in order to seal big pressure. And we're going to talk about pressure today. So the world today, we can build big engines. I mean, Milwaukee 8s, Harley-Davidson built the new 4-valve V-twin, the big twin engine that took the place of the twin cam. And it's going to be the future for a few years, 2017, 18, 19, 2020 right now. You can buy the 107, 114, or the 117, and that engine combination has so much room in the head studs and in the crankcases that we can make 150, maybe even more cubic inches inside the stock architecture, which is amazing because the twin cam is really hard to get. The head studs are too close together. The bore circle of the head bolts is too close together to get much more than, say, it's really pushing it at 4.250 bore. And on the Milwaukee 8, we can go 4.5 bore pretty easy. So just imagine that, man. That's another 250 thousandths of bore. And I see guys building 5-inch cranks, 4.5 bore. That makes a really big engine. I think that's over 150 cubes. Now, just because it will fit in the stock Harley cases, the stock Harley cylinders, and you can put big valves and put the stock heads on it because the head bolts will fit, and you can buy gaskets, doesn't make it a good thing. Bigger is not always better on engines because, look, I want to tell you all about that. The engines that we have, all the cylinders, I'm going to draw a little picture right here, and I'm going to move the phone just a minute. All of the cylinders have an outside dimension, even the Milwaukee 8s. The outside dimension of the cylinders will look something like this. And it will have a spigot that goes down in the cases, and it has lots of fins here, okay? This is going to be a really rough drawing, but it will get my point across. Does everybody understand that drawing? The spigot goes down in the case, and a 4.5 stroke CVO, the piston will go from about here to about here, and you'll get 4.5 inches stroke right here. That's on a stock 114 and a stock 117, okay? Now the bore is the big story. Right here, this sleeve right here, a CVO comes with a 4.350 OD from here to here. That means you can bore it out to 4.18, 4.19, and you have very thin cylinder walls. And I'm not a big fan of those because this was designed to have a small bore and have these thick liners, and the liners go in here, and the piston makes a lot of heat. You know why the piston makes a lot of heat? It's because when you squeeze the gasoline and you light it with a spark plug, and it goes boom, and it pushes down on the piston really hard, and it rotates the crankshaft, it generates so much heat. And then when the exhaust valve opens, it blows all the heat out the exhaust pipe, and it lights off the catalytic converter that's in the pipe by your wife's right foot. Your whole right side gets hot because the catalytic converter is hot. The exhaust system is hot. All that stuff makes a lot of heat because every single engine that runs on gasoline makes heat. Now, the pistons get all the heat, 1,000 degrees, 500, 800 degrees, and then the piston will overheat and seize up in the bore unless you have several things. The rings that are on the pistons, the heat goes through the piston. All the heat goes here, and then the rings go against the cylinder wall. Now that ring takes all this heat out of this piston and sends it through the ring into the cylinder wall. Guess what the cylinder wall does with it? It goes right here into the cylinder, into the liner, and then it dissipates out of the liner through these fins. I'm going to tell y'all something. This is another true statement. Listen to this. Your Harley, your new big twin, is air-cooled. Yep, they told you it's oil-cooled. They told you it's water-cooled. No. It is air-cooled. There is a tiny, little teeny-weeny little vein about the size of an ink pen, the little pencil lead. Oh, man, nobody knows what pencil lead is. That proves how old I am. A number 2 pencil. How about that for being old? The lead, it's about 100 thousandths in diameter, maybe, if you're lucky. And it has little veins that go around the exhaust ports in the head. The twin-cooled what they call the twin cool, twin cam engines back, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, they came out. It had a little radiator and a little water jacket. And the engine was not coolant cooled. The exhaust port had a little teeny bit of water. You can unplug that thing. You can unhook it. You can take the radiator off. You can let the engine blow in the wind, and it's not going to change very much of that temperature of that engine, because that engine is not water cooled, y'all. Sorry. If you see a little radiator on your Milwaukee 8 or your twin cam, please don't think that thing is water cooled. Harley Davidson made a water cooled one, and it was a V-Rod, Porsche design, built by Harley, but it had a real radiator, real water pump. It had real water jackets. Listen to me. These cylinders I just drew, there is no water, there's no oil cooled, there is nothing but air. So the pistons get hot. The more power we make and the bigger the engine is, the more heat goes in that piston, and the more heat goes into that cylinder wall, and the more heat deflects and reflects out of the fins to the air. So when you keep air blowing across it, it has a little bit of cooling. Here's where the trouble comes from, right here. Let's say you want a 150-inch engine. Got nice cylinder walls. Guess what didn't change? The fins. The cylinder wall is thin. The fins are little. The pistons, the engine's way bigger. We went from a 4.1 bore to a 4.5 bore. Look at this. A 4.1 or a 4.060 to a 4.5 bore. That's how we do our 143. We go from a little 4060 bore to a 4.5. But we didn't increase anything but the bore size. We didn't increase any cooling capacity. Matter of fact, we decreased the cooling capacity because now we have made this. That's a large percentage, y'all. That's a big percentage of power increase. And we have these little bitty fins now to try and cool all of that area. We got hotter pistons, bigger pistons. We make more friction. We're generating way more heat, and we're asking the same cylinder fins to do the work. So if you're touring and you look on the internet and you're riding to Daytona or Sturgis, or you're going to the beach, or you're going to the mountains, or you're going to cruise around with your buddies, and these big engines are available, and they are very tempting because they make a lot of power. But please understand, you don't get the power for free. The power costs a lot of money, first of all. Second of all, it lasts with you. It lasts until the engine doesn't last. The heat goes with it. It makes more heat idling. It makes more heat when it's running smooth and quiet. It makes more heat when it's running wide open. It makes more heat when you're flooring it. It's hotter. It's bigger. It makes more friction. People tell you that the big motors cool better, or these cylinders cool better, or those cylinders cool better. Yeah, there's probably some truth in that, but we're talking about 10 or 20 degrees. I'm talking about if your piston crown was 800 degrees, now it's 1,000 degrees. And we have not done anything to decrease or enhance the cooling capacity of the engine. So I'm not a huge fan of, I try my best, 2 reasons. People want the biggest engine. They call me up now. Okay, you make 124s for the Milwaukee 8s. Yep, it's a 4.185 bore with a 4.5 stroke. That engine runs cool. It's got the same stroke as stock. It's got a little bit bigger bore. I'm talking about a little bit bigger, like 100 thou. It's got thinner cylinder walls, but it still has big giant cylinder fins, and it has a lot of aluminum to transfer the heat out of the thin cylinders, sleeves, the iron sleeves, into the aluminum body, and out of the aluminum body out into the fins, which cool because there's a lot of surface area. And if you can pray you get some wind blowing across the fins, you can actually take heat out of that piston as you're going down the road. Now, when you call me up and you say, 124 is not big enough for me, Harley's got a new 131 now available. You can buy this new stage kit from Harley. It's got a 131. And they put a warranty on it, and they finance it for you. Dude, I'm at a loss. God bless you Harley guys, man. Y'all got a kit that generates more heat, same cooling capacity, bigger, thinner cylinders, less cylinder control, less ring control, and you're going to put a warranty on it, and you're going to finance it. Hey, call me inexperienced or I don't understand what I'm seeing, but that sounds like a good way to move the needle on the income pretty quick, but I don't see a lot of good returns at the end for that. Yes, we will offer you a 127 kit for your 107 with a big bore, big sleeves, and then won't bore the cases. We'll make the sleeve bigger. The only way we will do a big bore kit at Star Racing is to put bigger cylinders in it. So if you want a Milwaukee 8 and you want to keep your stock cylinders and you want to keep your stock sleeves and you don't want to bore your cases, I recommend the 121 for the 107 kit, for the 107 Milwaukee 8, and I recommend the 124 for the CBO or the 114. And look, it's not because we can't do it, y'all. Listen, we make giant engines. We even raced 160 engines for 15 years, 160 cubes, and that's not big as they could go. That was a rule. We had short stroke, big bore. We were running over a 4 1/8 bore. So I understand big bore. I understand big RPM. I understand how to make horsepower. As a matter of fact, our pro stock career has given us an advantage on how to make these street engines because we're not trying to figure out how to go fast. All we have to do is figure out how to get them to last a long time. Already go fast, that comes stock. When you go with Star Racing power, you get big power. Now we have to learn how to tame it for street use. And there's two things that limit us, and they also limit my competition, and they limit your engine builder, they limit your shop, and all of us have the same limit, and it's called gasoline and heat. Nice weather out. Weather's cool. There's a lot of guys got big engines now. And 2020's got the most biggest Harley engines on the road that's ever happened. There's 143s, 131s, 135s. There's 137s, 139s, 145s. There's 150s. I mean, we're doing lots and lots of big engines. But look, I want to tell you, they are not touring bike engines. They are not go on a trip. They are not traffic. You don't sit in traffic. You don't do parades. You don't go to Daytona. You don't go to Sturgis. You don't sit in traffic. They run hot. And when they get hot, the gasoline fires before the spark plug lights, and then it detonates, and then it blows parts out of it. And it's going to happen, y'all. Just wait. Just wait. It's coming up soon. You're going to have, when it gets hot again here in America and we start traveling, big engines are going to be like, they're going in the trailer. These guys with the big old 170, 180, 190, 200 horse guys, they're going in the trailer. And they may ride around at night. They may ride around out in the country. And people are going to prove me wrong and say, hey, look, George said I couldn't do it, but I'm doing it. Look, I'm talking about my average client that wants to go ride his motorcycle. People call me up every day, and you've heard me say it before. They say, hey, man, I want 200 horsepower, and I'm going to Sturgis with it this year. And I said, what year model bikes do you have? And he says, oh, no, I got one bike. And I said, no, sorry, you better call somebody else. What? I said, we can't make one bike do that. One of them's going to make 200 horsepower. You're going to put it in the trailer and you're going to ride it around with no traffic and no bumper to bumper and no parades. The other one, we can make you 140, 150 horsepower and you can go and ride it anywhere, anytime. But it's going to run cooler and it's going to run on low octane gasoline. Over here, I put heat, ratio, fuel, timing, air flow, and trapping. Okay, I'm going to talk about those little ideas for a minute. Let's go there. I got plenty of time left. All right, gasoline. To light the gasoline, you squeeze it, you compress it, and you light it. Okay, if the temperature in the cylinder is 400 degrees and you squeeze it by putting a 10-to-1 compression ratio in it, and then you light the spark plug off at 30 degrees before top dead center, that thing will fire when you ask it to. But if it's 600 or 700 degrees in that same cylinder and you squeeze it, and right before you light off the spark plug, as soon as that temperature goes critical, it doesn't matter if you have 10-to-1, 11-to-1, or 9-to-1, because you can't have all of those elements against you. You got to have one or the other. So that's why turbocharged engines have intercoolers. That's why supercharged engines have intercoolers. That's why some people go to methanol. That's because of the heat. Gasoline, I wrote over here. I got 91 in red. I got 93 in blue. I got 100 octane in black, and I got 105 in green. Okay. I hope I don't bore y'all out. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. I see all them warranty deals. That's good. I'm proud for them. Here at Star Power, hey, one more thing. We're really, really busy. I'm very thankful. You can come here to Star Racing. There's 5 of us here. You can bring a friend, and that makes 7 of us all at one time. 7 people in one place, as long as we're 6 feet apart and we bump fists and we clean surfaces and we don't cough or talk on each other. We should be okay for a little while. But I wouldn't, right now it's a good move not to go to a whole pile of that right now. But detonation is uncontrolled combustion. Thank you, Kyle. That's a good way to put it. Okay, so look. See way over here, I put this word right here. I put resistance to detonation. That is what octane means. More octane means more resistance to detonation. And I'm going to tell you, there's another little thing people don't understand. They think octane gives you power. Man, I run 91 every day. I go to drag strip, I'm going to put some 110 in there. It's going to slow down, y'all. It doesn't need. If you run 91 every day and you pour 110 in it will not go faster. Sorry. Octane is not power. Octane is resistance to detonation. You want to run the highest compression, the highest timing, and you want to make the peak cylinder pressure at, say, I'm going to call it 15 degrees after TDC. And I'm going to take the red pen and I'm going to say, this is cylinder pressure right here. This is cylinder PSI. That's what this big high graph is. The black line in the middle is top dead center. And the spark plugs, we light them off over here like 30 degrees before TDC. Pistons coming up, you have to light it so that at peak horsepower, let's just go 5,000 RPM. We want it to make peak cylinder pressure at 15 degrees after top dead center. So we have to move the spark around when you tune a bike or you use auto tune and you think somebody's telling you where to put the spark. Auto tune doesn't do that for you. You got to have somebody who knows what they're doing. And I want to tell you one more thing, that timing number, that is at a different RPM. It's a different number. At every RPM, it's a different number. At every throttle position, it's a different number. At every temperature, it's a different number. Well, if I say all that twice, that's because it's double important. Spark timing is, somebody says, what's your head flow? Well, it flows, 100 CFM at one lift and it flows 400 lift at another, 400 flow at another lift. What's your timing? Where? There is 1,000 places for you to have timing, just like the flow bench. Peak timing. Oh, okay. Well, I run 45 degrees at part throttle at low RPM when I'm cruising on the highway. 45 degrees. If somebody tell somebody you tune your motor to 45 degrees, they're gonna call you crazy. But at maximum cylinder pressure, gasoline will be dictated by how much its ability to suppress detonation is. So this engine we're talking about, this one's got peak power at 5,000, we're just calling it out. Let's say it makes 100 horsepower, and it wants the spark to start at 30 degrees. So right here, I got 30 degrees. And you want the pressure to make peak pressure at 15 after top. Because the crankshaft, the piston's already going down, and you want that pressure to taper off until you want crankcase pressure, combustion pressure all in this area. Okay? Now, what if you have 5,000 RPM peak horsepower, 100 horsepower peak horsepower, and you have 91 octane? Well, if you want to make more power than that, you're going to need to trap more air. You're going to need more compression. You're going to need a shorter cam. You're going to need more airflow. You're going to need to get the air fuel right and the timing right. It may not be able to run on 93 octane. You may have to start the spark over here at 25 degrees. And it may, let me try and get this right, with 93 octane with 11:1 compression ratio, you might be able to get peak pressure here and have it come to here. Now that might give you 120 horsepower because we have more cylinder pressure. 93 octane has more detonation suppressant than 91. Now a guy calls me up every day. I want 180 horsepower. I want 200 horsepower. I say, what kind of gasoline? Oh, I'm gonna ride it a lot. Me and my wife are gonna go on trips, and I'm gonna use 91. I'm out west, and we can't get good octane. I said, I'm sorry, you can't have 200 horsepower. Well, they don't understand it. They think I'm telling them to call another shop. No, don't call another shop, y'all. They can't do it either. If you're going to put 180 or 190 horsepower, and you're going to have to run gasoline over here. Only because it's got more pressure. I'm going to go to green. We're going to go to 100 octane, so now we have a lot of resistance to detonation. Can y'all see this? We have a lot of resistance to detonation with 105 octane. So that means we can increase the airflow, we can shorten the cam timing, we can put bigger cubic inches in it, we can put more compression ratio in it. Let's say we go to 12:1. Now we're going to start the spark at the same 30, and we're going to build pressure really fast, and we're going to try for peak power over here at 15 after. You see that cylinder pressure? That's what makes horsepower. If you don't have more cylinder pressure, you don't have more horsepower. Problem is the gasoline will detonate. The gasoline will light off before you light the spark plug off, because we're making the engine big, we're squeezing the gas a lot, it automatically lights off. It's called auto ignition, uncontrollable ignition. When the gasoline lights before you light the spark plug, it's ugly, y'all. That means the peak pressure. When the gasoline lights before TDC, that makes the pressure be over here, and it will hit the piston so hard you couldn't get a sledgehammer and hit the piston harder, because the piston is still coming up. And if the gasoline lights, you squeeze it, heat it up enough to where it actually lights before, like over here. If it lights over here because it's hot, the pressure is going to go up real high, and it's going to detonate, spark knock, and then it's going to fall off here. Look, the curve is before TDC. That means you hit the piston in the head with a sledgehammer. And you'll hear a little rattling noise, like it'll make a little tick, 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 tick when you floor it. That means that you're probably too hot. That means you probably have too much heat in the cylinder. The gasoline's lighting off early. You have too much compression ratio. You might be too lean on the fuel. You may have too much timing in it. Probably not, just because that heats it up ahead of time. And then the airflow, trapping. Those are combined, airflow and trapping, because if we have a set of really nice cylinder heads, big valves, they flow a lot of air, and we shut the intake valve early, that gives us this trapping effect, which also does the same thing to the gasoline as heat. It does the same thing as too much compression ratio. It does the same thing as too much timing, and it does the same thing as not enough fuel. Confusing, I'm sorry, but look, heat, big engines make heat. We can't help it. It's an impossibility right here. These guys, little bores, little engines make less heat. Gasoline is our limit. These are the octanes available to us, 91, 93, 100. If you need more than 105 octane, you got something going on. It's pretty awesome. But gasoline they sell, the reason people use gasoline to go faster sometimes, guys, is because it has really cool chemicals in it that may make a little more horsepower. And then you got the oxygenated fuels like Q16. You got all these MR numbers and stuff like that. They're oxygenated fuels, which means they add more airflow, more oxygen to your engine, so they make a little more power. So that's a different story. Static compression ratio, there's not much horsepower difference between 10:1 and 12:1 unless you don't have enough airflow. High compression engines typically work better when you have really poor cylinder heads. If you have really great flowing cylinder heads, you're getting the air in anyway right here. If you have great flowing cylinder heads and bigger valves and great cam timing, you have this guy going on right here, which replaces high compression ratios. Now, if you want to make the most cylinder pressure you can, you're going to have to put a lot of compression, a lot of airflow, and you're going to have to put a ton of octane in it to try and contain the resistance to detonation, because it will detonate. Now, one more thing I want to share with you guys. I'm going to hold the phone for you because I got a lot of reflection. Everybody hold on. We got a lot of reflection on these lights in here, but this is a good little piece. So look, considering where we're at, oh, that's not pretty for me to hold the phone. It shakes. Don't get sick. Here we go. Changed my mind. Back when I was younger, I didn't shake that good. Nor that much. Phone dropped. Y'all laugh at me now because I'm live and I'm real. This is no fake deal. All right. I wish y'all could see that. Be advised. Avoid crowded spaces. Ride motorcycles. Do not use public transportation. Ride motorcycles. Well-ventilated spaces or virus-free. Ride motorcycles. Protect your nose and mouth. Ride motorcycles. Recommend the use of gloves. Ride motorcycles. Do not touch contaminated surface. Don't let anyone touch your motorcycle. Avoid shaking hands. Do not remove your gloves when getting off the motorcycle. Do fist bump, elbow bumps. Keep safe distance from people who sneeze and cough. Ride motorcycles. Maintain a positive and prudent attitude. The only way to ride a motorcycle. Feel free to share this information. And then the last thing I wanted to tell y'all, guys, is these detonation curves. There's a lot of action going on in our world. We watch the news. If we don't know what's going on. But schools are closing, work's closing, people are we're going to have to stop our normal life for a little while. And this is going to give us a chance to prepare for the future. If this all turns out to be way bigger, remember when they told you that a big storm's coming, a big hurricane or something, and we prepare and we close schools and we get so prepared for a big hurricane there would be one-way traffic only out of an area. You would have to completely evacuate areas. If you don't live near hurricane stuff, you read about it and you know what I'm talking about. And then the hurricane don't even show up and people get mad. But look, we're learning. It's all preparation. We always prepare. The worst thing is like in Nashville when that big tornado came at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was no warning. I mean, I think somebody got a 10-second or a 30-second warning that the tornado was coming. It surprised a lot of people and tore up a lot of stuff. But this right here, y'all, this is a little late info. But we've been talking about it forever, and we all washed it off as even if it's 100% as bad as they say it is, or it's like 1% as bad as they say it is, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to prepare a lot. We all should be doing all these things. We all should be washing our hands. We should be cleaning our surface. We're real touchy-feely, huggy people. We don't have to be, man. I just want y'all to know if I see you and I do a fist bump, man, you're awesome. I love you. I want to hug you. Maybe one day when we all got spacesuits on, I can hug you or something. But be prepared for the racing teams, for instance. Listen, this is a godsend, man. I don't know how many people were so ready. I bet you 5 or 10% of the people in racing were ready when the races got canceled. The rest of the people were wishing they had more time to get ready. Well, right now, now's your time to get ready. You can come over here at Star Racing. You can come over here. Like I said, if you bring a friend, there'll be 7 of us when you come. We can catch up on all the what ifs. Remember all them what ifs? If I had time, we can do that now. Get projects finished that you started but never finished. Hey, guess what? We can rent a racetrack. We can rent Silver Dollar. We can rent SGMP. 10 of us can go. We can share the rent, and we can all park, 25 feet apart. We can fist bump. We can run, and we can go. We don't have to stay home until they tell us we have to stay home. We can also go ride your motorcycle, man. Ride your bicycle, go for a walk, do a run, jog, get you some fresh air. And the reason I'm sniffing right now is not because I'm sick. It's because everything is yellow, man. Yellow and green. We got pollen just flying around over here, man. You can't breathe without getting all the pollen. But we're building engines during this little break. We got a lot of work. We're very thankful for it. I'm very thankful for you guys for coming here to watch me and listen to my stories, and it's a blessing. I wanted to also tell you that remember to look after each other. We need, Terry wants a hug. I don't blame you, brother. But we got to look after each other. We matter. We're all going to be here when this is over, and we're all going racing again, and we're all going hot rodding our Harleys again and our cars and build engines, and we just got to get through this. And look, if we all have to stop for 2 weeks to let everything catch up, and maybe the detonation curve of the virus, maybe we can suppress it by turning the ratio down a little bit. Maybe we travel less, maybe we go places less, maybe we interact less for a couple of weeks, and maybe the rise that's coming up so big on the detonation curve that maybe some hospitals and some caregivers can prepare. Because right now, if we hit detonation on this curve, on this pressure curve, this spike that's coming up, we won't be prepared for it. We won't have enough hospital staff, caregiver staff. We won't have enough of that. So we got to play it cool, everybody. Be smart. And I'm not condoning or anything. I'm just telling y'all, it's a good time to be close to Jesus, and may God bless all y'all. And hey, keep sending me notes, emails, message me. I got a lot of cool stuff I can't wait to share with y'all about this engine stuff. Tech Talk Tuesdays is fun. I think this is number 33. Let's do it again, man. Thank you. God bless.